We would like to know more about you. I have been on your website. I've had a chance to read what you stand for, and I could regurgitate it to my listeners, but I think it's more effective if you would just tell us very briefly about who you are, the district that you're running in, and what you represent.
Sure. So I grew up
here
here
in
in
South
South
Jersey.
Jersey. I went to public high school here. I played football. I played basketball. I ended up going up to NYU Stern, getting 2 degrees, one in finance, one in information systems. And then after that, went and did some strategy consulting for IBM. And how this campaign started is some friends and I were sitting around. We were watching TV. We were seeing things we didn't like nationally, what was going on in Washington. We saw a tremendous amount of corruption and graft locally. And what we said was, rather than sit on our butts and complain about it, why don't we get out there and do something about it?
Okay.
So we made some flyers, not as nice as the ones we have now, and we just went out and started knocking on doors, me and 2 or 3 people. And from that, we now have over 120 volunteers. We've knocked on 40,000 doors.
Wow.
We've made about 50,000 phone calls, and we've created the most robust insurgent campaign in the last 2 decades in New Jersey. Something we're very proud of.
Alex, I have to jump in there for a second. Let's talk about 120 volunteers, 40,000 doors knocked on, and 50,000 phone calls. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah, you're hearing me correctly, and that's something that grows every single day. We're eventually going to get up to around 100,000 doors knocked, over 100,000 phone calls made, and in the hundreds of volunteers. We have new people joining every week.
Let me ask you, how much of that is, as much as you can disclose, how much of that is pure volunteerism versus paid workers? How much does it cost for you to get that many volunteers knocking on that many doors? How are you pulling that off?
Well, we don't have a single paid person on the entire team. The entire team, from our staffers to myself to all of our volunteers, everyone is doing this because they believe in the campaign. Now, we are a campaign that takes 0%. We take no money from corporations, no money from super PACs. All of the money that we've raised so far has been through generous folks contributing on our website. We have over 1,000 donors, and our average donation is less than $30, right along with Bernie Sanders.
Wow, that's impressive. That's impressive that you have that many. I'm looking for my applause track. That's actually definitely worth an applause. And before we go into the details about your campaign, I'm fascinated with the amount of people that you've been able to get to volunteer for you, because I think part of the problem with campaign finance reform is that there's these massive staffs that need to be paid, right? It's not just corporations who want to pour money in. A lot of times it's staffers who want to get paid, who need to get paid. And you're saying that the bulk of what you've done has been completely based on volunteers, those 50,000 phone calls and those 40,000. That is really, really something. I mean, tell me a little bit more about that, because I'm gonna be honest with you, that's hard to believe, but I don't have any reason not to believe you.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, it comes down to a couple of things. So it comes down to the first thing, without getting into the weeds of it just yet, it comes down to the fact that there is a tremendous amount of corruption around here. The incumbent is someone who is part of a political family that is widely disliked. And the fact that we're putting together the first legitimate challenge to their stranglehold on this region is something that has gotten a lot of people excited. Number two, we have innovative organization and management in this campaign. I designed the campaign strategy with former presidential candidate Michael Dukakis, where we have split up the district into small bite-sized zones so that when we're giving folks things, instead of it all being centralized at our wonderful campaign headquarters, it is decentralized into the neighborhoods that our volunteers live in. And then they can then bring in new volunteers in the areas that they live in, and it makes things a lot more efficient. Number three, we are very, very tight with our data, with our targeting, with our analytics. That's my background. I made sure that we are as sharp as possible with that. So the combination of all of these things coming together, and the very smart team we have working with us that has designed tools like callsforalex.com, where we have supporters all across the country, the state, in our district, wherever, making phone calls for us through that website. It's very similar to the platform that Bernie had a little while ago. He's since developed a much nicer one. I wish we had the money to do that. We don't right now, but we do have a lot of people making calls for us on there that might not even live in the district, but want to make a difference in a progressive grassroots race.
Okay, so I really like that. I haven't gotten into any of your platform, what you stand for. I mean, I've read it, but I haven't discussed it with my audience. But you and Sanders are doing something that that is so critical, in my opinion, to the future of elections. One, because and I have to reiterate this, and this is mainly for my audience, not you. I'm sure you know this, but a lot of the reason there's so much money in campaigns is because you have these large staffs that must be paid. And you know, every campaign that has somebody knocking on the door generally is either a paid intern or a paid staffer. And you guys are pulling off something that is phenomenal. It's citizen buy-in and involvement. So with that being said, where can we get access to, if someone in the audience likes what you're doing and they want to participate in this phone banking where they can phone bank from anywhere in the country, if at the end of this conversation they really like you, where can they do that at?
So they can go directly to callsforalex.com, or they can go to our website, alexlawforcongress.com, and there's a link to that Calls for Alex site there.
Okay, I love that. I love that. And the reason I love that is because what we're building here is the Progressive Army. And right now in 2016, it has to be a virtual Progressive Army until in 2020 when we can get boots on the ground. But we can actively help your campaign. If after we grill you, they still like you.
Absolutely. That's what I want to say is wait until you find out what I stand for. I never ask anyone to blindly support me. I got to earn your vote or earn your support. But what I will say, if you do support us, and look, it's great if you want to chip in and help out with $5, $20, whatever you got, we will gladly take it because it all goes 100% into our grassroots effort, and you will be helping people knock on doors and have the materials that they need so that we can be successful. But we would love to have you donate some time, and it is so crucial because in that last month, it could very well be the phone calls that are made through Calls for Alex that determine this race, because it is going to be tremendously, tremendously close.
All right, let's get to the issues. Let's see if you stand for what my audience likes and what they need to hear. I know I see